This is Arts Respond with Lucy Gellman, and well, first I should say a little about the show. I don't love the title of the show, so we're still working on that. But this is a collaboration between WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven, the sister radio affiliate of the New Haven Independent and the Online Journalism Project, and the Arts Council of Greater New Haven, where I am the editor and a reporter for the arts paper. So I'm very excited. This is our second episode, and I'm really, really excited today to be talking to three movers and shakers in the New Haven cultural scene who are all responding to the COVID-19 crisis in different ways as business owners and also as humans in New Haven and Hamden. I'm so excited to welcome Elisa Bowens Mercado, who is the head of Elisa's House of Salsa and Rhythm Logger. And so we'll talk about what it means to be the chief of not one, but two businesses, especially right now, but always. Slate Lou Ballard, who is the co-founder and co-owner of the State House on State Street. It has a very contextualizing name. And Neville Wisdom, who owns Neville's Design Studio. Neville, I always mess this up, but I usually say like Neville Wisdom Design, Neville's Amazing Design, but and Neville Wisdom, who has been sort of a beacon of light in New Haven's fashion industry for a long time, but especially now as you've turned a lot of your efforts to making masks. So I want to jump right into the conversation and ask all of you, as COVID closures started happening and there was not that much discussion coming out of both state and municipal government levels, what did that look like for three business owners?
Doom.
Neville, would you like to hop in?
Eminent doom.
Okay. Tell me more.
Well, it was very concerning to even think about the idea of having, like, as with so many of us, our business relies on customer coming in through the door. If the door is closed, how does the business survive? But because of the type of person that I am, I don't like to try to predict the future. And so I try to embrace things that come along. And then while I am in the motion of embracing, try to figure a way to deal with whatever the crisis or whatever that situation might be. And that's the same way I approach COVID. I did take some time to really sleep for a change. And not really worry about getting up and going to work at 7, 10 at night. I really I slept. I really had a 2-week vacation where I just really slept, had a rest in my body and reading a lot, really reading, staying abreast with what was happening, watching the news and stuff like that. Other than that, and started cooking again, because as business owners, we don't get time to really spend time in an apartment or in your house or wherever that you can actually prepare meals for you. I mean, those things that were really something that I've been able to do for a long time, because it's just important from the businesses. You usually don't have time to really relax and really take care of yourself. So yeah, I mean, it was a little crazy at first, and I just really went into it. But I don't want to take up all the slots.
Elisa, why don't we go to you?
Yeah, it's funny because I think we all have that same feel of, you go from one day I went from, going to the studio and just dancing, and then going out during the day and selling beer. And then before you know it, my calendar is a ghost town.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at my calendar literally prior to COVID. and it's filled Monday through sometimes Sunday. And as an entrepreneur, you're moving and you don't realize that you're doing so much during a week. And then before you know it, your calendar is a ghost town because there's nothing on it. It's, unless, but now there's Zoom meetings on it. But I mean, and es- especially for me, I'm talking like after 20 years, we're celebrating 20 years at the House of Salsa. So after 20 years, my separation anxiety of going to the studio, seeing my students, it's like being in a relationship for 20 years. And then before you know it, everyone is gone.
Yeah.
And so emotionally, mentally, physically, financially, I think I'm dealing with a bunch of stuff that's very, very, very real. And I have to just identify that. But for businesses out there, we went from all to kind of, just like, whoa, what just, happened. So, and the two businesses, trying to keep everything afloat and figuring out what you're going to do when basically life just kind of stopped within 3 days. So
Yeah. And
it's tough.
I do want us to get into the nitty gritty of what that looks like, but Slate, I want to just make sure that I get your voice in there as well. What did the beginning of this look like for you? Because as things closed, there was sort of a week leading up to March 13th, which was Friday the 13th, which just felt very fitting.
Yeah.
But sort of at the beginning of that week, there were like school plays planned, there were concerts planned. The city had a St. Patrick's Day parade that was that was until it wasn't, basically. And then progressively you saw these closures until all of a sudden things shut down.
Right. And we were, as a large venue space, we were like in the early shutdown list, right? So, but even before that, right, in that week leading up to like the St. Patrick's Day parade and stuff like that, like I can really feel what Elisa is talking about around her calendar being full and then calendar going to like nothing, because we had all these incredible acts, all these amazing international acts actually coming through the space, the State House. And then what ended up happening was we started seeing individual bands cancel, and then we had an awesome Boston-based Irish, punk band coming for the parade day, like that night. And it was going to be an incredible show. And so we were sort of holding off. What are they going to do? Are they going to cancel or not cancel? And ultimately they canceled. And then, so I think during that like initial like pre-week, we had one show that ended up happening and there were like 7 people that came out to that show. And that's when we realized, oh, this is, this isn't sustainable. Like we're not going to be able to keep booking shows. And then, government shut down. There was orders from the governor to shut all the bars and venues down and everything like that. And so we had to shutter, and that's what we did. And like Neville said, we sort of went to taking a breath, and getting some rest and spending time with Carlos and I, spending time with our families and our kids and stuff like that, and trying to figure out what was gonna happen, like what availabilities we were gonna have.
Yeah. And for each of you, I would love to know a little more about what that specific loss of business looks like, because you are all in cultural fields, but it's different depending on where you go. And I've sort of had this realization when I've talked to people that they don't always realize that artists sort of walk that razor thin margin of being okay and not being okay, financially.
Yeah.
And Neville, I would say we're looking at your lovely counter and floor, which is fine, but we also love looking at your face.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm just to piggyback off of what Slate said. It went from, there was first a glimmer of like hope, because first things were getting postponed.
Yeah.
And I was getting those emails like, oh, this is postponed. We had 3 gigs at Quinnipiac University. and they're like, we're just going to postpone this until, maybe May. The people back then were even saying May, June, we should be out of the woods.
Right.
And then these emails went from they're postponed to they're absolutely canceled. And then that's when I think we all said, whoa, this is kind of serious. And, as artists, I think we could all tell you that we literally live kind of in a COVID kind of climate all the time. We just don't know as artists who's coming in, what, it's like kind of like fly by with us, it's just in our industry. So with this happening, this was clear that, things were going to be completely shut down.
And Elisa, for you, for instance, I think there's a lot of business that goes on that people don't, like normal people like me, don't think about because they're not seeing your day to day. So it's not just your lessons. And I'm wondering if you can talk a little about that. You were doing work in the schools. And then also this did not occur to me, but of course, wedding season would have been upon us. And you were working with something like 4 couples.
We had 4 in bliss engaged couples coming in for their first dances, the happiest time of their lives. And now that is, couples are not only canceling, of course, their first dance, choreography, they're canceling weddings. Like weddings are being, pushed off for a year or 2 years. Venues are trying to keep up with that. So you're right. It wasn't just about people coming into classes. It was the schools. It was my Latin night at Te Amo. My gosh, I looked forward to going to let my hair down every Thursday at Te Amo to get my salsa on Thursdays. Gone.
Yeah.
Where you get to go see people and so, the wedding season just, people are just not coming. They're not going out, which is great. Nobody should be going out, but it's not just the lessons. There's so many different things, facets of, especially for my studio, that everything just is done, shut down completely.
And oh, Neville, yeah, I'm wondering if you can jump in, because also, so people may walk past your storefronts. You have a storefront downtown and one in Westville, and say, okay, well, he's a designer. Maybe he can move some of his stuff online. And so first of all, like, people aren't spending a lot of their discretionary income right now because they have less.
Absolutely.
But a lot of your work, as I understand it, also understands on people-to-people interactions.
Absolutely. We do a lot of events. This would be the one of the of our entire season. I rely on this season a lot, enormously, because it's usually better than my Christmas season. This is like my Christmas. We have a lot of weddings and people looking for specialty garments to wear to these events. And I have quite a few events that we were working on to fill for this season. So it was starting to get busy. And January and February for us are a drought. We are just really trying to get through those 2 months every year. That's kind of like what it's always is. Like, save enough money to
right.
And February. And so, like after February passed, that sort of like ease sort of like sets into place, and you're like, okay, January and February is gone. I'm still here. Let's go.
Bring on March.
And it's like, no, we're not going anywhere. So, of course, at first it just seemed like, okay, so what am I going to do with all this equipment? Like, where am I going to put it? Because it's not, if there's no one, and we don't have like an online presence in terms of like how we sell our clothing. It's more personal, as you asked. I'm actually not even trying to sell clothes to individuals, because who's going to be buying clothes right now? It's, people are really trying to like make sure that they have this survive and stuff like that. And there has been like a couple of really awesome customers of ours who really appreciate what we've done. And I've bought a few gifts, certificates, just to to keep money coming into the store. But it's minute in comparison to what our monthly expenses are, and so it's difficult to know that you have a physical 2 spaces or square footage that is not cheap, and it's locked up, like, and there is still electricity. Those things haven't been canceled. I still get my notification that my shop phone or Xfinity needs to be paid, and and rent. Luckily, we had some rent suspended, but suspension doesn't necessarily mean going away. I mean, at some point, going back into it. And landlords also now want to start like getting back into the swing of things too. So when things open up, everything sort of like opens up. We're still probably going to be in a really difficult position because there's been silence for a long time. Luckily for us, we've been able to transition our business because it is a sewn product business. But I can't imagine that for the businesses that didn't have sewing machines and could design a mask and start selling them, to even keep some revenue coming in. I can't imagine what it is for individuals like that. So it's completely devastating.
Well, I don't leave home without my Neville Wisdom mask. So these are my Neville Wisdoms. I picked these up like last week. Oh yeah, these are these are not my bikini. This is not my bikini. Okay, this is.
We wouldn't judge.
These are my
This is a bikini safe zone.
Is the new bikini.
There would be no judgment. Slate, I saw you pointing, and I would love to bring you in because, again, I think it's more complicated than just, hey, we don't know when people are going to come back to concerts.
Yeah, totally. And I think what Neville was saying is so accurate that, like, you've sort of been silent for a long time. Like, the State House can't really do anything right now, right? We can try to keep a little bit of an online presence if we want to and post things here and there, but like we don't have products to sell right now. And we don't know what's going to happen. It's not like some magical day is going to appear and like things are going to be open again and people are going to come out like they used to, right? Nor is it going to be for like a venue. And like, at least I can speak to this probably too. Like, you have to figure out when you can actually start booking people, booking events, booking things, and that time frame is going to be unknown as well. Like, when will a venue like ours that brings in regional, national, international acts be able to curate some of the artists that we've curated in the past? When our touring musicians going to start touring again? We don't really know any of those things right now, and so for us it's very much like a standstill while also trying to be there to support the broader artistic community in whatever way we can, while we sort of sit back and try to hold on.
Well, and I want to hone in on one of those specific words, which is support. So what we've learned, and Elise, I loved this. Your mom actually commented on one of our recent articles about how little of the support that was sort of trumpeted in the CARES Act has actually gone to small business owners, and especially to people of color and specifically women of color. So I want to talk about that too. But for all of you, what has applying for federal support looked like? Because, like, as I've perceived it, we live in a country that does not train its artists to apply for things like federal grants.
We get up and we make, Neville makes clothes. It's Slate makes sure that we keep it rocking, with concerts. I go after people are learning their steps. We were not built or geared to, we're sitting down where we're getting paperwork together. Some of us, just aren't wired like that. And overnight, you've got a PPP, EIDL, a SBA, a aid, a CARES, a this, a that. You have so much paperwork in front of you that it really became overwhelming. But all of the money coming out of the government, you don't want to miss that, because this is literally the small businesses drive this country.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we really do. So this is who should be getting the money, the hard work that goes into what we do on a daily basis. Like, we should be getting a portion of those billions of dollars. So that's when you have to say, nope, I've got to sit down. As much as I don't want to do this, I've got to fill this stuff out, and I've got to, look for funding to come in. So the utilities, the lights, the rent, so that I have a business or businesses when this is all over. But I'm going to tell you, it was a rude awakening. It's just, it becomes a little, overwhelming. But
And for all of you, I mean, let's get in the weeds. Let's be transparent. What does projected loss of income look like?
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's,
I'd say I would say that in terms of percentage wise, because I've been making masks, it's changed the projection of like a 0% income to like paying some utilities type of like situation, at least I can cover like day-to-day expenses, but definitely not in any light would be able to like cover like a monthly expense for 2 shops. One of the shops right now is just operating as if it doesn't exist anyway. There's like, it's been closed since March. We're almost at the end of April. That's almost 6 weeks, 7 weeks, almost 2 months. That space has been closed. I mean, like, how does one prepare for something like that when you just came through your 2 last surviving months where you're just physically trying to like stay and clothing and people buying clothing isn't necessarily something that's a big bang type of situation that makes you so much money last year that like I could just like sit around for the next few months and like and relax on my private jet type of situation.
Wouldn't that be nice if we all, I mean,
yeah.
A private jet is terrible for the environment, so that's another problem. But wouldn't that be nice if we all made enough money to have like even like our little getaway, our little hidey holes,
our private islands, right?
That's right.
Our private jets landing on our private islands. That's exactly.
That's right. Well, I also wanted to. I know Slate. You and I have spoken about this, and there have been some pieces about this in the arts paper. But I really want to get the word out.
Yeah, totally. I think it's important. I mean, we don't know, right, at this point, but the projected losses at this point are anywhere from $40,000 to $60,000, $70,000 of revenue for us. I mean, we're talking the loss of potentially 40, 50, 60 shows, and that's if we're able to open in, June or July, which we don't even know. And so that's just a huge piece. And I think, it is incredibly frustrating to have to compete for funds from the government when so much of these funds are going to large small businesses. Let's talk about the range of small businesses, right?
We don't even fall in small.
Right. I mean, we're the micro businesses here. Yeah. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I'm sure you have fewer than like 10 employees or something like that. If that, like, the State House doesn't have, we don't have any actual W-2 employees. We have lots of like contractors that we work with to do sound engineering, bartending, all that stuff. So we can't even apply for the PPP. We've applied for the economic injury loan. We got a little bit of grant money from that, but it was like a drop in the bucket. And
I got $1,000 from that.
You got what?
$1,000 from that.
Yeah, and that's it, right?
Always.
Yeah,
Like,
and you haven't heard anything else from them, I'm sure. Like, not a word.
I don't even. The craziest thing about it is I got I applied for a bunch of things because things just kept coming out of the wood. Like
Right.
it was like
Yeah.
from every angle, like ADP,
Yeah.
my America, my credit card processing, like your properties. It just kept
Square up.
everywhere. New Haven, and everybody, and I understand, people are just trying to make sure that the information gets out there. And then there's all these things. And so I applied to a bunch of them. Some of them I can't even remember exactly what it is that I did apply for because it's one to it. But and then one of these days last week I got like a notification from Experience saying that there was some credit activities. Someone checked your credit report, and as always it goes down. And then a few days ago, I was checking my bank balance, and I noticed that there was $1,000 transferred into it. No communication whatsoever. No, I don't know if I'm scared. Like I'm glad, but I'm scared. Do I spend this money? Can I spend this money? Is this money a loan? Am I gonna have to pay $2,000?
Is it a grant? Yeah.
Right.
What's the interest rate?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened to us too.
Yeah, it's like
Same thing.
how does this really work? Like, and so it's so difficult for all businesses to micro businesses. That's what I call them.
Exactly. No, that's what we are. We're micro businesses, and that's what the government needs to be looking at supporting, not these businesses who have the resources to be able to have all of the folks, on staff that they have. Like Lisa was saying, like we have to scramble to put all this paperwork together that we have to, put together. So,
right.
Well, I want to remind
and I will tell
listeners. Sorry. I just want to remind listeners, or more likely viewers, that this is WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. I'm Lucy Gellman, and I'm talking to cultural, creative, wonderful people about how they're responding to the current COVID-19 crisis. I have with me today Elisa Bowen. She's the head of Elisa's House of Salsa in Westville and Rhythm Brewing Company, which is, Elisa, how many brewing companies in this country are owned by women of color?
I am the fourth in the country. I'm the first in Connecticut.
New Haven has
in the country.
Has huge bragging rights to that. The city should be so incredibly proud. I'm also here with Neville Wisdom, fashion designer extraordinaire of Neville Wisdom's Design Studio, and Slate Lou Ballard, who is the co-founder and co-owner of the State House on State Street, which I am missing very sorely. I want to talk to all of you about both how the arts sustain economies in a very real way, but also how the arts can sustain people during COVID-19. Because I've heard a number of people say the arts are not essential. I've heard calls from some community members to defund the Hamden Department of Arts and Culture, which is the lowest funded department in the entire town. I checked twice. And so what is your response to that as people who sometimes are in a field that is perceived maybe as extra? And I say that, of course, in air quotes.
Okay, I'm going to jump in here right now because I'm going to. Oh, okay. I'm just going to tell you that I'm so happy that I have this opportunity to kind of, we could talk about this because this is real. For 20 years, I have the whole Latin House of Salsa, whatever you want to call it, the students that go in, we have driven restaurants, we have driven business into the city. I can't remember not doing a salsa night. I've done probably a salsa night at every single bar, restaurant, you name it. We've brought people in from like the shorelines, people that were afraid to come downtown New Haven. Ooh, they were scared. People coming in downtown, they've spent money. So for 20 years, No,
For
arts
years, yeah.
are the reason why people come in. They come to go to the state house to listen to music. So you can't take us out of the equation because we're driving people into businesses, into restaurants, into city, into, I mean, you name it. So, I'm very passionate about that because people just think, oh, they just go in and they're just dancing around. No, we've created in 20 years a community and a resource for people to make a lot of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars. So no, you can't cut us artists out. It doesn't work that way.
No, I
Can't
fully
use us when
agree.
you want to use us. You know.
Absolutely. I mean, like without art, there wouldn't be never wisdom in a sense. I mean, like the arts is what drives my business a great deal. The business side of it comes with it, but it's the ability for me to be able to create something with just my hands and a couple of pieces of fabric and some thread and stuff like that. And to me, that's it's a whole artistic approach, which I learned earlier in life, and was loved it so much that I wanted to stay with me and be a part of it. And I also been in this community paying rents and paying taxes. And for years, like I've had two shop fronts for over 5 years now, and I've been in business for somewhat about 13 years in this community. So it's yeah, we drive a lot of revenue into this community and create things that make people love New Haven for what it is, and
True. Yep.
We play a big part. So it's very difficult to after doing so much to not be able to get 10 grand from a relief fund or something like that for your business, because
True.
it doesn't kind of like formulate the way that the requirements of these programs are. And so that's why it's easier for these large companies to get millions of dollars because of the way their businesses are structured. And for small businesses, it's a different structure. You are the accountant, you are the manager, you
are the secretary, everything.
Yeah, you are the staff. You are washing plates, you're cooking food, you're mopping floors, you're doing as much as you can to stay afloat so that you can incur all of these expenses. And so you can employ as many people as you want, but that's not just the only way that you bring money into a community. It's not just from the staff. A lot of emphasis are placed on that, and we want people to have jobs and work and stuff like that. But we also too have like a lot of like things that we do for the community that's not specific to the amount of employees that we bring in. And so it's very frustrating to not be able to sort of like take advantage of these opportunities that might be out there based on how our story seems. We can't prove it on paper in a sense. And so that excludes us. And that's just the way it is. And most of the time, that's the way it is. That's why it's always so difficult for us to access low interest loans or anything that it is that, as artists, you always use your own money anyway.
Yeah.
You ain't getting none from anybody.
If you have any left over.
And Sleet,
left over.
I want to make sure that you get in there, that you get your voice in here too, because you have also talked about the sort of the very specific role of the arts, or that the arts can play to bring people together. And I think that is even true now that a lot is online, but certainly not in the same way that it's true in physical space.
Yeah, I mean, you're seeing a different version of that online
Yeah.
right now with live streams and Zoom calls and things like that. And that's cool and everything, but it's not the same as gathering physically, bumping into
Mm,
other people. I think arts plays, obviously, I believe it plays a huge role in the economy. You can look up statistics on that. Americans for the Arts can show you how much money, the arts and cultural economy brings into Greater New Haven.
right.
If you want to see that, just go look it up. But I think from a connectivity standpoint, the arts plays a role that like isn't filled by a lot of other things, right? Like the arts and cultural performances, events, galleries, like artists in general, like play a crucial role in the connectivity and networking and broader social structures of our communities. And you take that away, and you are losing something that people actually care about. You are not going
Yeah.
to you're losing something that will cause people to move away. Like, a lot of people stick around in a physical location, a city, because of its cultural vibrancy. And if you take cultural
Right.
vibrancy away from a city, what's there? Like jobs,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Right.
And I also think that it's really important to realize that like the arts, uh, and you can bring in culinary arts into this if you want as well, but like the arts drives so much business to
Yeah.
Mhm.
other businesses.
Yeah. That's
And
true.
the experience economy, is a real thing. And it's a thing that goes out to other businesses a lot. And even sometimes more than it comes to the arts
Mhm.
organizations. Often people come out to
Hmm.
go to galleries, to go to events, to go see shows, to go see performers, and they spend more money on their meals and their drinks and dining outside of the actual art show or performance. And I think that that's really important to realize with
Yeah.
the cultural sector.
Well, as our time is winding down, I want to ask this question that I know the answer to this is still very much evolving, but some states have already started having discussions about what it means to reopen and how they plan to reopen. I don't specifically think that's good advice. I think that we unfortunately may see a whole wave of sickness in Georgia because of reopening too soon. So I am not endorsing that in any way, shape, or form. But
Hmm.
I'm really curious. A lot of questions or a lot of discussions I've had with arts leaders recently have been, what does this new normal even look like as we're getting there? Does it look like letting in a quarter of capacity, and is that even economically viable? And so I would love to hear from all of you, what that looks like, even as you're taking it day by day.
Well, I know for us, with the lessons, we're gonna have to absolutely have thermometers. We have to have temperatures checked. Um, our new norm is going to be dancing with gloves on,
Mm.
and masks. As crazy as that sounds, but I mean, for everyone's safety until we are out of the woods in this, and this might be next year.
Yeah.
um, we're really putting a plan in place where we're going to have a sign on the door that this is going to happen when you come in, or it's going to be on our website. um, because we just don't know. We just don't know. And of course, dancing is very intimate. So that's not 6 feet unless we start doing 6 feet away and we're hand dancing and air waving, we're just trying to, figure it out, going to schools and basically having these diversity music programs with these kids and throughout the state of Connecticut. Like, what is that going to look like? Now not going to have 300 kids packed in a gymnasium learning the art of Latin dancing. It's like, I just can't visualize that. So, it's going to be smaller classrooms, or they're going to be like 10 students, so they could still get the experience. So all of this stuff is like going, through, my head. Am I only going to just do private lessons now? Am I going to go back to my salsa nights? Are people going to go back? So there's a lot, but I just know that everything that was normal for us as a business is not going to be normal. It's going to be completely a new norm.
Totally. I mean, for us, it's we don't even know. We have no idea, and I think we're just sort of waiting to see what best practices come out of some of these things as they come online. Like I said before, large event spaces that can hold more than 50 to 100 people are going to be the last to come online. So I think we're going to learn a lot from how this happens in other places. But like, yeah, let's. I think we've got a long way to go to see what reopening looks like, what new normal looks like. I mean, it could involve lots of, gloves and masks for attendees. It may, I mean, I don't,
Yeah.
it worries me, to open for a quarter of your capacity, right? Like you have to determine, is that worth it?
Right.
And what is going to be worth it, and in this reopening new normal, whatever it looks like,
Yeah.
and like our citizens, residents going to feel comfortable coming out to events? When are they going to feel comfortable? I know a lot of people are like, can't wait till the doors open and I'm going to be there partying the first day, right? But then there's going to be a lot of people that aren't like that,
Yeah.
have asthma, are at risk in some way, that may have come out to shows in the past that aren't going to come out, really anymore. So, but I also think one interesting thing is that I do think, at least for spaces like ours, like we will be, even when we're able to have live bands come back in and do, even if we can have bands that can get in proximity to one another to play together, we will start doing live streaming, direct from the State House. And I think that will become a new norm for us, is that we'll be having more concerts live streamed, as all this stuff, whatever happens with it. So,
Pay-per-view.
Pay-per-view, yeah.
Yeah.
Neville, I want to ask you too, and then I have one more question just before we run out of time.
Oh, you want me to go ahead? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a definitely difficulty thinking about what the future looks like. My industry was all a difficult industry anyway, and it continues to keep going down. Like retail has been struggling for many years, and so to not be in the best of situations, and then the situation, it really just seems like, what can you do? Like because you've already thought about everything that you can actually do to try to like keep your business afloat and make sure that it works. And I personally have had taken some steps a year ago in terms of how my business is structured, because of what the economy was already showing us in terms of how much what a necessity or clothing stores were offering. And for this sort of like industry, it was difficult to always keep full-time employees on for an entire year because of how season works. And so we're up and down from time to time. And so what I actually been doing was taking a little bit of of my dear friends here and what they've been doing with what I did with this collaborative workspace, and have introduced a bunch of young designers to this space that have been coming around here for over pretty much a year.
Awesome.
And so I have been sharing my space with them, and they sort of like owe me some time for a favor or something like, or help me with this or do this for me, or if you're at the store, give me your hours that you're going to be there designing. I have some running around that I want to do. You can watch the store, make sure somebody comes in, you can, and so I've been processing that for a year now, and that's sort of like where we are. And it's also very encouraging to have the young individuals here, and I think that's what's probably going to be the focus moving forward, and what all the other things that happen. But the store downtown frightens me to think about having someone being able to come into that space, buy enough clothing to support that business, as opposed to this particular space where it's much more of a creative space where I can now use it to make face masks, you know, as opposed to that just being for retail. It definitely is frightening.
I just want to, so we just have about a minute left, but I just want to ask everyone, what's one thing that New Haveners who are watching this can do for each of you and for each of your businesses right now?
I am doing online dance classes. Yes, I'm just excited. Every Monday through Friday, 6:30, same time, online. And we just ask people to donate. $5 goes honestly a long way. We're going to start delivering beer on Saturday. So we're keeping the Rhythm Brewing Company open too. So deliveries for Rhythm starting on Saturday. But just go on, take a class. If you can donate. If you can't, that's fine. Well, we just want people to keep moving during the quarantine. So, and thank you, Lucy. I really appreciate it.
Slate, what about you?
Yeah, thanks, Lucy. I think for us, you know, I would say like support the broader arts sector, right? Donate to the COVID-19 Artist Relief Fund that New Haven has going right now. Look at, I've been collaborating with some folks around the At Home in New Haven program. Check out athomeinnewhaven.com. There's going to be a lot of presentations going on there that support artists as well. And, you know, message funders and sure to tell people that are giving money out there that the arts are important and the cultural economy is what makes New Haven such a vibrant place.
And Neville?
Yeah, I mean, we're selling masks still. We do always try to keep some in the store so that in 903 Whaley Avenue, if you wanted to stop by and pick up, we always have reversible washable fabric masks that Alisa was dangling a couple of there. So, you know, right now that's what we're doing.
Great. Well, thank you all so much. And thank you to the man behind the controls who really makes this happen. He is our cultural champion
as well,
Harry. Thank you so much, Harry. And we will see you hopefully sooner rather than later, although probably not in the real world for a little while.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Stay safe. Bye.
This is Harry Droz, and you're listening to WNHHLP 103.5 FM, New Haven.
Thanks, Luz.
Light in the sky, yeah. Where were you? Where have you been? Rescue me.